Once upon a time, at the edge of a dense, shadowy forest, there lived a poor woodcutter with his second wife and 2 children, Hansel and Gretel. Times were hard, and there was hardly enough food to keep them from starving. One night, while the children lay quietly in their straw beds, the stepmother whispered to the woodcutter by the flickering fire, "We must take the children deep into the forest and leave them there," she said coldly. The woodcutter, heartbroken, protested, but his wife's harsh words pierced his resolve like icy arrows. "If we don't, we'll all die." Hansel had overheard everything. His eyes widened in fear, but he remained calm. When the moon rose high in the sky, he quietly stepped outside and filled his pockets with white pebbles that shimmered under the moonlight. The next morning, the family set off into the forest. The children followed their parents along the winding path, and Hansel secretly dropped a trail of glistening stones behind them. After hours of walking, the parents led them to a clearing and lit a fire. "Rest here," they said. "We'll be back soon with more wood." But they never returned. Night fell. Gretel sobbed in fear, but Hansel whispered, "Don't worry, sister, look." The moonlight illuminated the stones he had dropped, creating a glowing path back home. They walked all night and reached their hut by sunrise. The woodcutter was overjoyed, but the stepmother was furious. Days later, famine struck again. This time, the stepmother locked the door, so Hansel couldn't gather stones. Thinking quickly, Hansel crumbled his last piece of bread and dropped crumbs along the path as they walked into the woods once more. This time, they walked even deeper. Again, the parents vanished. Hansel tried to find the trail, but the birds had eaten every crumb. Lost and exhausted, the siblings wandered through the forest for days. Hunger gnawed at their bellies. They saw strange shadows, heard whispers in the trees, and the forest seemed alive with secrets. Just as their hope began to fade, a delicious scent filled the air: sugar, spice, and warm cake. Following the scent, they stumbled upon a house made entirely of gingerbread, frosting, and candy. Its windows were sugar glass, and the roof was shingled with chocolate tiles. Hansel and Gretel rushed to eat a piece of the candy wall. Suddenly, the door creaked open, and an old woman with gleaming yellow eyes appeared. "Oh, sweet children," she crooned, come in, you must be starving." But the old woman was a witch. She had built the candy house to lure children into her trap. Inside, the house was warm and smelled of vanilla and firewood. The witch offered cakes and milk, and the children fell asleep in soft feather beds. The next morning, they awoke in cages. The witch had locked Hansel up to fatten him for her stew. Gretel was forced to sweep, cook, and serve. Every day the witch demanded Hansel show her his finger so she could feel if he had gained weight. Clever Hansel offered a chicken bone instead. The witch, half blind, couldn't tell the difference and grew furious at his slow progress. At last, the witch lost her patience. She ordered Gretel to heat the oven. "We'll bake bread first," she snarled, "then your brother." But Gretel had a plan. When the oven was blazing hot, she pretended not to understand how to check it. "Can you show me, please?" she asked innocently. The witch, growling in annoyance, stuck her head into the oven. And in that moment, Gretel shoved her in and slammed the door shut. The witch howled and thrashed, but the flames consumed her. Gretel freed Hansel, and together they searched the witch's house. In a dark corner, they found treasure, chests filled with gold, pearls, and precious stones. They filled their pockets, left the cursed house behind, and wandered until they found a river. A kind white duck ferried them across. Eventually, they recognized the path home. When they returned, they found their father weeping, alone. The cruel stepmother had died. Overjoyed, he hugged his children, and they poured the witch's treasures onto the table. From that day on, they never knew hunger again. But they never forgot the forest, the witch, or the courage it took to survive. The end.